Euromaxx highlights. And here's your host, Megan Lee.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Euromaxx highlights with the best picks of the week. Here's a look at what's coming up. Raw emotions. Finland launches an emoji campaign. Smooth operators. The fine art of flirting. And haute cuisine, an Austrian delicacy served high up in the Alps. Trends, as we know, come and go as fast as the wind, especially when it comes to digital technology. So that's why it's our job to keep you informed. Well, the latest trend in texting comes from Finland. It's come up with a whole bunch of fun emojis to represent national feelings. One, for example, is known as Kausari Kennet. And if that's too hard to remember, then perhaps this image won't be. Kausari Kennet represents the feeling you get when you're lounging around at home drinking a beer or a glass of wine in your underwear. And now there is an emoji for that as well as other interesting emotions.
Finland, land of the midnight sun, land of 1,000 lakes, and emojis. Finland is the first country to get its own emojis. Those tiny images that pepper electronic messages. 56 emojis capture the spirit of Finland, from Nokia mobiles to heavy metal fans and saunas. Tourists love the new emojis, even if they don't always quite understand them.
It's kind of gesture to show like welcome or hospitality, I think.
This I don't know. Yeah.
After sauna, they drank a bit of beer.
Is there any Finnish beer?
Drinking at home with the heating on.
Close. It portrays the Finnish word kasari kanit, or drinking at home alone in your underwear.
I love Finland. Great. We need to do that more.
The emojis were created by Finland's Ministry for Foreign Affairs. The goal? To get young people hyped up about Finland on social media. It's a campaign with a sense of humor.
For a young person somewhere in the world, this campaign could be their first impression of Finland. If that impression suggests Finns can laugh about themselves and are world leaders in digital communication, then we're happy with that.
Finns love to use emojis. Finnish words are often long, and the language is considered one of the hardest in the world. Saying how you feel can seem like a chore. So, emojis say it for you.
That's how it is. Every kid tries it when it gets cold.
Jokainen lapsi kokeilee joskus pakkasella.
We've all had our tongues stuck to a metal pole at some point.
You're always telling children not to lick anything metal in winter. But they'll do it anyway. Getting stuck, being ashamed, and the pain that comes with it, that's a very Finnish thing.
Emojis let us express feelings despite language barriers. They're even being touted as the new world language. But everyone understands this language a little differently. In Europe, a thumbs up means that's great, but in some African countries, the gesture is offensive.
Every emoji, every combination of emojis is a puzzle that has to be decoded in the context of what was said. That's why it's a bit of a game. The message isn't literal. Sometimes it's more abstract.
The Finland emojis certainly are grabbing attention. So far, they've been viewed more than 200 million times and featured in around 2,000 articles in the media. And from mid-2017, you'll be able to find 2 Finnish emojis on every mobile device in the world.
We're the first country in the world to have 2 emojis added to the Unicode standard. The first is the sauna, which everyone knows is a person in a steamy room. and the second is the woolen socks.
The national emojis are innovative, unique, and a huge public relations coup for Finland.
Moving on now to the Spanish island of Majorca, located in the Mediterranean Sea. Now, this island is so popular among German tourists that it is often referred to as Germany's 17th state. Well, normally Majorca is a popular summer destination because of its numerous sandy beaches. But I was told that in the winter months, from February to March, the almond blossoms are a main attraction. Now, almonds are used on the island in a variety of ways. So I traveled there to have a look. Blue skies and mild temperatures. This is what Majorca looks like in winter. Many civilizations, including the Phoenicians, Romans, North Africans, and finally Christians, conquered and developed the island over the centuries. Art Nouveau facades are common on the buildings in Palma. This architectural style can be found on every square and even in the narrow alleyways that give the capital a cozy feeling. But in winter, one of the biggest draws to the island are its almond blossoms, which generally bloom until March. They're not just a source of Majorcan beauty, they are crucial to the economy as well.
First of all, the most beautiful and important aspect of the almond tree in Majorca is the moment when it blooms. It is the first flower of the winter. And sure, when they are all in bloom at the same time, it seems like it has been snowing. Something really rare for the island, since we are more used to having plenty of sunshine. And historically, almonds have been used for many things. So from an economic point of view, its fruit is very valuable here.
Benito's family uses the almond blossoms to produce perfume. It's delicate work as each blossom is hand-picked before it's combined with a special mixture and stored for 2 years. Then the perfume is placed by hand in bottles. Almond oil is also a Majorcan treasure. It's commonly used at the island's spas.
The primary benefit of almond oil is that it's very moisturizing. You can use it to relieve the skin when you've been sunburnt. It also helps to nourish the skin. It has vitamin E, which makes it shine. It also has a huge antioxidant effect.
In the months when it's still too cold to go to the beach, spas like this one offer good alternatives. You don't have to look very far to find almond orchards like here on the road to Valdemosa. This town is nestled in the valley of the Serra de Tramontana mountain range. Also called a pearl of the Mediterranean, Valdemosa dates back to at least the 14th century. The village has played host to many prominent guests, including the composer Frédéric Chopin and his partner Georges Sand. In the winter months, the cafes and squares see fewer tourists than in high season, but here too, almond delicacies can be found just about in every corner of town. The empty atmosphere doesn't seem to bother those who visit at this time of year.
First of all, it's just much less crowded, and second, the temperature is much more bearable than in high season.
Back in Palma, restaurants like Foch profit from the season to use almonds as complements to the dishes.
Obviously, right now it's almond blossom season, so we get a lot of tourists as well come to the island to see the almond blossoms. But the almonds actually are picked around September. And so we're very lucky here to be able to use very fresh almonds. And they have a slightly different kind of milkier texture than if you buy them very dry. No?
And finally, a visit to Majorca in winter wouldn't be complete without a visit to Palma's Roman Gothic Cathedral. It was built between the 14th and 16th centuries. Catalina Mas is responsible for preserving the cathedral's artwork.
We have here two important contributions to the Palma Cathedral from two internationally recognized artists. The first one happened in the 20th century, and it's the work of Antoni Gaudí. It represents a crown of light, which marks the principal nucleus of the celebration, which is the altar. The second is by Miquel Barceló, who dedicates a whole chapel to the symbols of the miracle of the 5 loaves and 2 fish.
Its cultural highlights and natural beauty make Majorca a popular winter destination. It's amazing what one can do with a pair of scissors and paper. For example, German designer Peter Dahmen makes 3D sculptures that only pop up when you open the card or paper. Well, already he's reached millions of people all over the world who are demanding to see more of his designs. Well, we met up with the artist to see how he does it.
Popup Art by Peter Dahmen. It's been 28 years since the graphic designer fashioned his first models. Now, they're his livelihood. Millions of internet users admired these pop-up objects in the month of February alone. One video of Dahmen's creations went viral in just a few days and was shared hundreds of thousands of times.
It just blew me away. I never expected this. Suddenly, my email inbox was overflowing with inquiries from all over the world. I got a call from India, I got inquiries from Dubai, and of course from Europe and America. It was sensational.
In 2013, Dahmen began to specialize in pop-ups exclusively. He's created around 100 items so far. He does cards, creates works on commission, such as this miniature building, and packaging for customers around the globe. Some objects he developed out of sheer curiosity. Every pop-up is one of a kind.
Quite often, it's like a brain teaser. I rarely even know how I'm going to go about it. I find out by trial and error. Sometimes I'll make 3 or 4 tries without finding the solution. Then if the 5th one works, I'm totally overjoyed.
Peter Dahmen doesn't make any drawings when he creates a new model. He starts right off cutting paper. It can take him anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 months to finish one object. He develops smaller scale models first for larger projects. As with the African wildlife he designed for a major trade fair project using his folding technique, the final version was nearly 10 meters long and 5 meters tall, one of the biggest pop-ups ever created anywhere.
The hardest part is always working out the curves and arches, since I have to fold everything down flat. A normal paper crease is always a straight line. So if you want to make a sphere or a snail shell, you have to find a way to break or expand on this rule. Often, it's quite a challenge.
Peter Dahmen provides the templates for some of his simpler designs on the internet for free. On his YouTube channel, he explains, in English, how to cut them out and put them together step by step.
Repeat the steps until all 10 pieces from 1 to 10 are assembled.
The first videos I shot weren't tutorials, but the most frequent comments on YouTube were like, "I'd like to do that too, I want to learn how."
Dahmen has even created pieces for a magician.
Tesla. What is 236 multiplied by 501? Wireless telegraphy.
Marco Tempest wanted to use the technique in his magic show. Highly specialized projects like this inspire Peter Dahmen to keep on creating new ideas.
The raging powers of Niagara Falls and bringing light to a city.
Even though I've been working with this technique for many years, I still see it as a minor miracle when a pop-up object takes shape right before my eyes. I just can't get enough of it.
Peter Damen's internet success is spawning more inquiries. It'll be fascinating to see what surprising new solutions will pop up for Peter Damen's clients and fans the world over.
Spring is the season of rebirth, when everything and everyone wakes up from a long winter hibernation. It's also a great time for flirting and finding new love. But since Europe is so diverse, Euromaxx wanted to know how Europeans flirt and what works best for them.
Springtime is just around the corner, and that means romance. All courtships begin with a gesture, a laugh, or some kind of flirt.
Look at her eyes, and after you feeling.
She looks back at you once, she might see you, but when she looks at you 2 times, then you know you might have a chance.
So which Europeans are the best at flirting?
I think the Spaniards. They're happy to approach other people. They're affectionate, friendly, open. It's the Italians.
I think the English are the best. If I was going to say the worst, let's go for, I think, Germans maybe.
But why is that? Therapist Birgit Feest says that has something to do with the German character.
German culture focuses on solving problems. We're not used to getting compliments, either at work or personally. So men are a bit afraid to flirt. But men and women need to be more daring. Women shouldn't be afraid to smile at men.
For those who have trouble flirting, Emanuel Albert can help. The self-described date doctor says geography influences how people flirt.
In my experience, people in the north are a little more brusque, like the wind in the north, which blows cooler.
So we asked people in cool London what the British think about flirting.
What do you mean by flirting?
Probably, I don't know, we're a bit more shy, reserved, generally more British, so perhaps not as good at flirting.
The worst? Well, British men. Sorry, guys.
And what does the date doctor say about Southern Europe?
I love it in southern countries where you get compliments even as a man. So of course I'd say that's where flirting is most enjoyable.
The Spanish are considered warm and friendly. Many Spanish women still dream of a big wedding with a white dress. So how do romances begin in Spain?
You look at him, he looks at you, smiles back, and you go from there. The way I see it, looks aren't as important as how you sell yourself and approach other people.
The conventional thing to say is, hello, how are you? But you could ask duck or penguin. If she says duck, you ask why duck. So you start a conversation, and in the end, you've got her telephone number, and you can make a date.
We headed to Paris, the city of love. We imagine romance and flirting comes easy to the French, with their poetic, seductive language and direct approach to love. But a recent study says something else. When it comes to relationships, the French, of all people, rely heavily on the internet and flirt apps. Though many won't admit it.
Most French men still hit on women directly. This internet stuff isn't so important in this respect.
But date doctor Emanuel Albert says the French are increasingly becoming homebodies.
Statistics show that more and more French couples get to know each other through the internet. It's become a habit. That means if you don't have any luck getting to know someone by going out, then you have to turn to the internet, and that's accepted.
There are some fundamental rules to flirting that transcend all cultural boundaries. Here are the do's and don'ts.
Don'ts. What I should never do. Don't talk about earlier partners or relationships. Really bad idea. That sends the mood south immediately. The other person will start comparing. Another don't, illnesses. No one wants to know how long you were sick and why. You're not talking to your doctor, you're on a date. Have a little courage, keep going. Something's still possible.
So as the long, cold winter gives way to a new spring season, the time is definitely ripe for love.
It certainly is. But now it's time for something to eat. And for that, we're headed to Austria for a yummy dessert. Kaiserschmarrn. And if you don't know what that is, it's similar to shredded pancake, often eaten with cherry sauce on the side. Now, it's quite a decadent treat, but perfect after a day on the slopes.
The Pitztal Glacier is Austria's highest ski resort. Here, the ski season lasts until May. 3 restaurants feed hungry winter sports enthusiasts. One atop the glacier at almost 3,500 meters above sea level, and the others at an elevation of almost 3,000 meters. After a day on the slopes, skiers can enjoy a delicious helping of Kaiserschmarrn. The sweet dish is as much a part of Austrian identity as the Alps.
Wonderful, just like my grandma used to make it.
Nearby, you'll find Austria's highest patisserie. Stefanie Zanteler is hard at work here, preparing pastries and Kaiserschmarrn.
Everything is produced up here in the bakery. We make all the desserts for the 2 restaurants, Wildspitze and Kristall, and we also supply Café 3440 with fresh cake and strudel.
Every morning, the desserts are sent up by cable car to Austria's highest coffee house, Café 3440. It lies 600 meters above the bakery. Aside from the fantastic view, there's another treat for visitors, the so-called glacier snow cake.
Coconut, pineapple, very fluffy, very light. If you get it fresh, it's quite magical. I'd certainly recommend it.
But operating a sky-high bakery has its pitfalls.
At 3,440 meters, the boiling point is different. So if we know that the weather will change, we'll produce the biscuit bases a day early, because otherwise they might not be so fluffy and could fall apart.
Milk, eggs, flour, sugar, that's all. Kaiserschmarrn doesn't require any delicate preparation. Just mix the milk and flour, then separate the eggs and beat the egg white with sugar until stiff.
Now that it's nice and foamy, we'll do the famous test. It should be like this.
Add the rest of the egg to the mixture. Then, to give it its airy consistency, gently fold in the egg whites.
Up here on the Pitztal Glacier, we don't use mineral water in our dough. We prefer egg whites. Then the Kaiserschmarrn stays moist longer.
So ein Kaiserschmarrn ist das Schönste, weit und breit.
Now we can add some raisins. On the glacier, we put in raisins, but you can leave them out if you wish. We sell up to 4 tons of Kaiserschmarrn in the winter season. That's 150 to 200 portions a day.
Kaiserschmarrn should be baked for 5 minutes on each side and then it's ready. Stefanie Zanteler also supplies the restaurants with Viennese apple strudel and crepes. Kaiserschmarrn is said to get its name from a pancake that went wrong. The Austrian Emperor Franz Josef loved desserts. But when a pancake fell apart during cooking, it was scrambled up and served with jam. The emperor loved it. An emperor's scramble, or Kaiserschmarrn, was born.
Now it's just missing the icing sugar on top. And up here we serve our Kaiserschmarrn with applesauce or lingonberries.
Kaiserschmarrn isn't just a favorite in Tyrol, it's one of Austria's most popular desserts.
And I think I'll make that for breakfast tomorrow morning. And with that, we wrap up another week of Euromaxx. For me and the rest of the crew here, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again real soon.